Nearly every extinction event reshuffles the planet's ecosystems, often with big differences between them. For instance, today's dominant macroorganisms are mammals, while in the Mesozoic era, it was the dinosaurs of the westward steelyard. 60 million years ago, a blazing fireball brighter than the sun streaked across the sky, growing larger and larger, but ultimately, there was no escape from the impending catastrophe. The asteroid struck the Yucatan Peninsula with the force of 1 billion nuclear bombs, vaporizing everything and leaving Earth unrecognizable. In just 24 hours, over half of all species were wiped out, billions killed by the blaze, shockwaves, and suffocating smog that covered the planet. But the real horror had just begun. Survival in this new, desolate, and desperate world turned into an almost impossible struggle. The dinosaurs, which once dominated the planet, now found themselves in a dire situation, struggling for survival. This extinction event first affected the giant dinosaurs, led by massive lizard-like creatures such as the Manosaurus and the Brontosaurus. These dinosaurs lived in herds that loomed over the horizon, gnawing on the leaves and vegetation of both dense forests and open plains. Yet, despite their enormous size and their remarkable ability to survive in various conditions, they were ultimately unable to continue. Their large size and slow speed rendered them helpless in the face of impending disaster. The dust from the impact covered the sky, turning the earth into a bleak, cold, sunless world where plants withered, and within days, the air was filled with ash, the land was barren and unsustainable, the beasts collapsed because of the shortage of food, and the huge herd gradually fell apart, eventually becoming extinct, the first victims of the ecosystem's collapse. Even the famously armored Troodon, with its heavy armor and a hardened tail hammer, was not immune. Throughout their lifetime, these dinosaurs feared almost no predators, not even the mighty Tyrannosaurus rex. They fed on low, straight arms and thrived in the Old World primarily due to the strength of their armor. However, in the face of changing conditions, even these heavily armored masters of survival cannot withstand the continual degradation of their environment. When the earth becomes covered in ash and their food supplies are depleted, the Troodon must survive without food in the barren wasteland. As the earth is covered in ash and food supplies are depleted, these dragons are left to wander helplessly in the barren wasteland. The heavy armor they once took pride in now becomes a heavy burden, and the struggle to find food gradually drains their last strength. Eventually, one by one, these once mighty armored beasts fall down and starve to death in the barren landscape. Even the mighty Triceratops was not immune to the relentless specter of extinction that loomed over them. With their massive necks, protective shields, and razor-sharp legs, these Triceratops were long regarded as powerful symbols of strength. They lived in herds across expansive grasslands, fending off predators. Before the catastrophic asteroid impacts, they feasted on lush ferns and other vegetation, basking under the sun's warmth, and were an immovable presence in the landscape. However, when the sky became darkened with dust and the temperatures plummeted, the plants they relied on for survival started to wither and die. The remaining vegetation was quickly depleted. As the sky remained shrouded in dust and the temperature continued to drop, the essential plants they depended on were exhausted, causing the Triceratops to weaken. Their once powerful legs became useless in the face of starvation. In desperation, the hungry Triceratops scattered, searching for food, but the barren earth offered nothing. Eventually, these once vibrant creatures collapsed, becoming the cold, lifeless remains of the wilderness. As for the king of dinosaurs, the T-Rex, he did not escape this catastrophe either. Before the disaster, the T-Rex was the undisputed top predator, roaming the plains and forests in search of its prey, its deafening roar reverberating through the heavens and the earth, its powerful jaws easily crushing bones and swallowing entire carcasses. These giants hunted and scavenged to survive and become the kings of the land. At first, the T-Rex was able to live on scavenging, nibbling on the fallen corpses of Manosaurus and Triceratops. And as the dinosaurs decayed and their resources dwindled, there was a fierce rivalry between the T-Rexes for carrion, even to the point of killing their own kind for food. And as the weeks went by, the more water drained away and the more the food disappeared from the world, even for such a ferocious beast as the T-Rex. The ultimate end of the race was extinction. In the vast sky above, the diverse members of the pterosaur family, known as the winged guardians and the wind god pterodactyls, faced an equal risk of extinction. These magnificent flying reptiles had once ruled the blue sky, soaring freely across the immense expanse of the heavens to hunt fish, insects, and small prey. However, following the catastrophic asteroid collision, the atmosphere became thick with soot and ash. making flight extremely hazardous. Visibility dropped to nearly zero, their food sources dwindled, and the dust in the atmosphere relentlessly attacked their breathing systems. Consequently, the pterosaurs plummeted from the sky, struggling to catch a breath. As they descended, their once light and agile bodies became fragile, and flying turned into a perilous endeavor. Simultaneously, in the deep sea's depths, a similarly harsh extinction event unfolded. The top ocean predators, with necks resembling kangaroos and serpentine dragons, witnessed a complete collapse of the marine ecosystems. Meanwhile, the oceans brimmed with vibrant, flourishing zooplankton, thriving in the sunlit shallows as fish and small reptiles continued to grow. The arrival of the catastrophe altered everything we knew. Acid rain began to pour relentlessly, polluting the vast oceans and leading to the massive death of plankton. This was devastating because plankton formed the very foundation of the marine food chain. As they gradually disappeared, the entire marine ecosystem started to disintegrate at a rapid pace. The pangolins, known for their dominance over the oceans due to their ferocity and sheer fierceness, found themselves dying off as they could no longer locate their prey. Meanwhile, the serpent-necked dragons, renowned for their scenic beauty and incredible flexibility of movement, once roamed the oceans freely, preying on these creatures. But now, the balance had shifted, and the once thriving marine life was in turmoil. But in this new world, there were no more fish or pirates to sustain them, and eventually, these once magnificent creatures died and sank to the dark bottom of the sea. Even smaller and agile dinosaurs, like the brontosaurus and the scimitar, unfortunately, were not spared from extinction. Before the asteroid impact, these intelligent predators depended heavily on their sharp claws and quick, agile movements to hunt effectively. They were incredibly adaptable, always finding ways to thrive in both dense forests and expansive plains. However, after the catastrophic event, their usual prey became virtually extinct, and the hunting grounds they once relied on transformed into barren wastelands, leaving them with no resources to survive. In the face of extreme environmental change, even these once agile hunters found themselves unable to prevent their extinction. Initially, these dinosaurs searched tirelessly for the remains of insects, small mammals, and even other dinosaurs. However, as time went on, even these leftovers became increasingly scarce. Gradually, the reindeer herd disintegrated due to starvation and eventually collapsed. Even the clever and intelligent Wolf's Toothosaurus struggled to find a place for itself and eventually disappeared into this new world of despair. In this new world of despair, however, there are still some creatures that tenaciously cling to the wasteland. They struggle to hold on for dear life, grasping for the slightest hope of survival hidden deep within the forests and under the crevices of the rocks. One of these resilient survivors is the trail dragon, whose once agile and delicate body gave it great strength. Now, however, it is hobbled by hunger and exhaustion as it desperately scampers back and forth across the barren land, in search of even the smallest morsel of food. Amidst the remains of numerous collapsing monoliths, the few survivors are desperately clinging to life, hidden in the shadow of the crumbling forest. Not far from here, a family of surviving manticores huddles closely together. Their feathers are blackened by smoke, which might still offer some warmth against the chill of the night. Meanwhile, their once agile and skillful parents struggle to make a living by scouring the wastelands in search of decaying plants, small insects, and even the remains of other deceased creatures. The cubs, with their weak cries, remain unaware of the dire situation unfolding before them. Their parents do all they can, striving tirelessly to keep their young alive for just one more day. Nearby, a solitary piranha dragon is making a challenging attempt to climb a rugged and rocky terrain. Its sharp eyes, which were once used for hunting, are now only searching for a safe place to rest. Despite the burns on its paws from the scorching ash, it continues to forge ahead, driven by a strong instinct to survive. These creatures, who were fortunate enough to escape the initial devastation, managed to survive purely by chance. When the asteroid struck and caused the catastrophe, the Earth was engulfed in flames. Only those creatures that were hiding in deep caves, dense forests, or underground were able to escape the fiery destruction that swept across the land. For some of the survivors, their size played a crucial role, as smaller dinosaurs like the feathery scarlet-toothed and the agile reindeer dragons found places to hide where they could remain safe. In the bush, their feathers do more than just help keep out the cold. They also provide warmth to the creatures. Female dragons, recognized for their nurturing instincts, encounter a distinctly different type of survival challenge. These females had constructed their nests prior to the disaster and devoted themselves to the care of their offspring. They safeguarded their young using their own bodies. However, even the strongest maternal love cannot overcome a shortage of food, and many females end up dying along with their young, a heartbreaking end for a species renowned for its maternal love and resilience. Meanwhile, small herbivorous dinosaurs such as the hinds, with their agility to find temporary shelter in rock crevasses and under cliffs, once widespread in forests, now eke out a living digging for roots or gnawing on moss. In their first days, the speed of the dragons helped them to escape extinction for a while. But over time, hunger and exhaustion have caused these once vibrant creatures to die out. Small, carnivorous dinosaurs, like the American river dragon, managed to fare a bit better than others. They survived by scavenging on scraps of flesh that were left behind by insects or large predators. However, this temporary advantage wasn't enough to save them from eventual extinction. These survivors couldn't escape the harsh realities of the New World, where competition was intense and every meal came from a deadly struggle. Ultimately, with the complete collapse of the entire food chain, these survivors were destined to die out. They were doomed to perish under the extreme and unforgiving conditions of their environment. Over the next 5 years, dust filled the sky, blocking sunlight and plunging the planet into a constant winter. Despite the destruction, life persisted, and some creatures survived. Not all dinosaurs vanished in this extinction. Some dinosaurs survived and evolved into today's species, especially the small bird-like ones that played a major role in the disaster. These small bird-like dinosaurs were among the few survivors. For instance, the dusky bird, a small feathered dinosaur, might have managed to survive the extreme cold and catastrophic events by taking refuge in dense vegetation or secluded caves. The feathers on these dinosaurs could have initially served the purpose of regulating their body temperature or attracting mates. However, in the severe cold following the disaster, these feathers turned into a crucial protection for their survival. Another potential survivor is the daunting bird dragon, which is a small, primitive feathered dinosaur that was comparable in size to a modern-day crow. Before the asteroid impact, they primarily glided among the trees, feeding on insects and small animals. Thanks to their small size and their habit of living in dense forests, they were able to avoid the initial disaster and survive. Over time, as the vegetation gradually rejuvenated, the ecosystem slowly rebuilt itself, allowing the species to continue surviving. Even though dinosaurs like the choristodires adapted to their environments and discovered new ecological niches, eventually evolving into the early birds, it is also quite possible that the smaller feathered dinosaurs, such as the trails, had a better chance of survival. This unique four-winged dinosaur, with its remarkable ability to glide between trees, provided it with a significant advantage when it came to foraging. It enabled the trails to obtain food from places that were otherwise inaccessible. The trails' ability to glide through the air, along with their small size and adaptability to a wide range of foods, probably gave them a greater advantage compared to the larger dinosaurs on the ground. It is very likely that this gliding ability, combined with its small size and adaptability to a variety of foods, provided it with a survival advantage over the larger dinosaurs that remained on the ground. In addition to that, there's the stone chat, which is often regarded as a transitional species that serves as a bridge between dinosaurs and birds. Even though they existed millions of years before the asteroid impact, the descendants of the stone chat, along with other feathered dinosaurs similar to it, might have had crucial survival skills. These skills included having light bones, quick reflexes, and an ability to forage in tight spaces. These traits potentially enabled them to endure the rapid environmental changes. These survivors, and others like them, managed to navigate the jagged skies, withstand the extreme cold, and cope with the scarcity of food, successfully avoiding extinction. They became pioneers of a new world, paving the way for life on Earth to be reborn. Over millions of years of evolution, these creatures eventually transformed into the birds we are familiar with today. They carry the imprint of the dinosaur's legacy of life. From the sparrow to the eagle, each bird stands as a living testament to the resilience and enduring struggle of its ancient ancestors, who fought for survival amidst catastrophic events. The birds that we observe every day are essentially living fossils of those ancient beasts, the horned dinosaurs. The legacy of the prehistoric world can be seen in the feathers, the bones, and the behavior of each and every bird. Consider the crane camel from the murderous civilization, for instance. It is incapable of flight, standing at about 1/8 of a meter tall, equipped with razor-sharp eyes, dagger-like claws, and powerful legs. Despite being flightless, they possess the ability to fly. With their incredibly sharp eyes, claws like daggers, and strong legs, these birds are the true representatives of modern-day dinosaurs. The appearance, along with the fighting instincts of the dromedaries, serves as a reminder of those dinosaurs that once ruled the Earth. They even managed to fend off threats or bring their enemies to their demise with just a single powerful kick. The chicken is another fascinating example, serving as the perfect illustration of the mighty descendant of the dromedary. Although it may not seem particularly special at first glance, genetic studies have revealed that chickens share a genetic similarity to well-known dinosaurs like the T-Rex. Therefore, the next time you hear a rooster crow, take a moment to imagine that it's not just a simple sound, but rather the echo of an ancient dominator, a majestic creature whose call has been carried across the vast expanse of tens of millions of years of history. It's fascinating to think about how ostriches, too, have managed to retain so many of the characteristics of those ancient dinosaurs. Their sturdy legs have given them the incredible speed that was so typical of the bipedalism seen in the ornithischian dinosaurs. These flightless birds, such as the ostrich and the crane ostrich's ancient relatives, have managed to survive the Earth's great transformations over the course of millions of years through their tenacious resilience and adaptability. Imagine the journey these ancient relatives of flightless birds, like the ostrich and the crane ostrich, have taken. They have survived millions of years of earthly change through their incredible resilience and adaptability, ultimately becoming the biological wonders that we are so fortunate to witness today. Even the waterfowl, like ducks and geese, are fascinating creatures. Their graceful movements and distinctive calls can actually be traced all the way back to the era of the dinosaurs. Their ancestors once thrived in ancient wetlands, gradually evolving over countless generations into the familiar forms we recognize today. And then there are the sky's predators, such as the galactic kestrels. These birds have inherited their instinct to hunt from the horned dinosaurs. Their sharp claws and excellent vision offer us a window into the world of ancient predators. These range from the fearsome cranes to the more common domestic fowl. Indeed, from the fierce crane to the everyday chicken, each bird narrates a unique story of evolution that spans across both time and space. Following that catastrophic event, the Earth experienced an extended period of silence and renewal. During this time, peculiar and unfamiliar species began to emerge, gradually taking over from the prehistoric creatures that had once dominated the planet. This marked the beginning of a new era for these emerging species. A million years after the extinction of the dinosaurs, the Earth had transformed into a world vastly different from the one we are familiar with today. This era is referred to as the Paleolithic era, a time characterized by the ongoing movement and reshaping of the continental plates. Additionally, the climate during this period was significantly warmer than what we experience today, and as a result, sea levels were considerably higher than they are now. In the early days, Archaeopteryx, along with mammals, birds, and reptiles, multiplied quickly. Many of these creatures had species that were notably different from what we observe today. The ecosystems of that era were distinct, and as the environments transformed, the food chains and species relationships evolved and adapted accordingly. With the extinction of the dinosaurs, mammals took advantage of the opportunity to dominate the Earth's resources. Fossil records show that in the millions of years following the asteroid impact, mammal species diversified rapidly into a broad range of different species. This included many that had perished in the Earth's early history. The diversification was rapid and extensive. Researchers have discovered an abundance of fossil evidence indicating that a primitive mammal known as a morganodont slowly transformed over time into the modern mammal we know today. The earliest fossil mammals have been dated back to the Jurassic period, which was approximately 1.5 billion years ago. These early mammals were mostly small, lion-like creatures, resembling modern daisies in size and form. Some of these fossils even date back as far as 200 million years ago, and these creatures were quite small, measuring only about 10 to 12 centimeters in length. They primarily fed on insects and small reptiles. Scientists have hypothesized that these early mammals might have been nocturnal, as the regions of their brains responsible for processing sounds and smells were particularly well developed. This adaptation could have been to avoid competing with reptiles or to escape predation by dinosaurs. It might seem astonishing, but all mammals alive today, including humans, can trace their lineage back to these early, small mammals that managed to survive through the ages. In the oceans, daisies were one of the earliest predators after the extinction of the dinosaurs. Daisies were distant relatives of the modern parrot shells and were important predators in the oceans at that time. They were critical to maintaining the balance of the marine ecosystem. In addition to mammals and daisies, the other animals that appeared in the oceans after the extinction of the dinosaurs included birds, reptiles, and fish. Fossil evidence of lizards and snakes suggests that early mammals gradually underwent remarkable changes in size, shape, and adaptation to particular thermal environments and food sources, shaping the rich and diverse world of life we see today. Whales, for instance, are believed to be the descendants of a land-dwelling animal that existed approximately 50 to 520 million years ago. Over an extensive evolutionary timeline, these creatures slowly adapted to their aquatic surroundings, eventually transforming into the fully aquatic whales we are familiar with today. This particular animal, referred to as the Pakistani whale, was about the size of a goat. Scientists have identified it as one of the earliest known whales. Even though its overall shape resembles that of a land mammal, its head already exhibited some whale-like features. It's a whale with a head that distinctly resembles that of a modern whale. Despite its body being more similar to terrestrial mammals, its head had already started to develop the elongated skull typical of whales. As evolution continued, the limbs of these animals gradually diminished in functionality, with the forelimbs evolving into flippers, and the nostrils slowly shifting closer to the top of the head, enhancing their adaptation to aquatic life. By the era of the western and eastern worlds, the vast oceans were home to a diverse array of sea creatures. Many of these creatures, like dolphins, whales, sea lions, seals, turtles, and various types of fish, still exist today. However, there were also numerous prehistoric sea creatures that are now extinct. Among them was the megalodon shark, a colossal predator that emerged at the dawn of the western and eastern worlds, approximately 230,000 years ago. This massive shark measured between 10 and 18 meters in length, making it one of the largest known sharks in history. In addition to the megalodon, the vast ocean is also home to another giant whale, known as the king baleen whale. This magnificent creature was over 15 meters in length and thrived during the late Scythian period, a time spanning between 80 and 120 million years ago. It roamed the western and eastern world when an even more formidable top predator of the ocean, the leviathan whale, emerged as a significant figure in history. Measuring around 13 meters long, with enormous and razor-sharp teeth, it was an incredibly aggressive predator. This aggressive nature made it a fearsome hunter, and it is believed to share a connection with the modern-day monster box whale. However, unlike this whale, which tends to prey on large marine animals, the ocean was teeming with not just sharks and whales, but also a plethora of other prehistoric sea creatures. These creatures contributed to a rich and diverse marine ecosystem, including the Dungeness fish. This large archaeological fish lived during the Napoleon period and was renowned for its gigantic size, powerful bite, and thick, bony armor. Its massive size, formidable bite, and heavy bony armor made this predator capable of easily tearing apart its prey, establishing it as the undisputed dominant force in the oceans of its time. Regarding the kangaroo, it was a large marine reptile that existed during the late Paleo-Earth period. Its fame was amplified by the movie Jurassic Park. The largest fossil discovered so far measures an impressive 17 meters in length. The kangaroo had a long and sleek body, with limbs that evolved into unusual forms. It could swim swiftly through the water using a powerful tail, a long and pointed skull, and a mouth full of sharp teeth. It specialized in preying on fish and other sea creatures. Although it was large and extremely aggressive, the kangaroo was not actually a dinosaur. Instead, it was a marine reptile that belonged to the lizard family. It was among the largest and most successful marine predators that ever existed on Earth. Another fascinating ancient marine creature is the patriarchal turtle, a massive turtle that inhabited the Late White's Quarter. It is considered one of the largest turtles ever known. These creatures represent just a few among the numerous species that adapted to the marine environment and evolved successfully. As life forms in the oceans diversified and evolved, life on land also thrived rapidly, leading to the emergence of many unusual and novel species. For instance, ornithischians evolved from small mammals that were similar to the fin whale, and they gradually differentiated into species like mice, squirrels, and beavers. Carnivores also originated from these early mammals and eventually evolved into predators such as felines, canines, and bears. Scientists believe that felines originated from an early small mammal known as the Archaeopteryx, which lived during the Paleo-Western period, approximately 660,000 to 560,000 years ago, and was an agile carnivore specializing in hunting small prey. Animals like today's modern fox are actually the descendants of an ancient species. Over the course of time, some of these ancient felids developed more refined and specialized features that made them more adept at hunting. These adaptations included retractable claws and much stronger bites. One of the early felids, known as the genocide, is regarded as one of the earliest felids. It lived during the Oligocene epoch, which was around 30 million years ago, and it had many of the characteristics we see in modern felids today. As evolution and differentiation continued, the lesser pandas gradually evolved, leading to the creation of several different feline branches. Among these branches were the famous saber-toothed tigers. The most well-known group of saber-toothed tigers is the saber-toothed tiger clan. This clan includes not only saber-toothed tigers, but also winged bladed tigers and rats. These saber-toothed tigers are particularly famous for their long, saber-like canine teeth, which were primarily used for hunting. These long fangs also possibly served as a means of defense during fights with other predators. 160. One of the earliest known canines is the dusky dog, which lived in North America about 40 million years ago. This small fox-like animal is believed to be the common ancestor of all modern canines, including dogs, wolves, foxes, and coyotes. Besides the prehistoric felines and canines, the plains were also home to another fearsome predator known as the terror bird. This creature, belonging to the Dinosauridae family, is a large, flightless bird that is predatory, and it primarily inhabited the Americas. The terror bird started to emerge approximately 200,000 years following the extinction of the dinosaurs, though its precise time of origin remains unknown. This period is roughly estimated to be between 60,000 and 50,000 years ago. The Titan was among the largest and most recent surviving birds of the Canidae family, ruling the Americas for millions of years before going extinct around 100,000 years ago. Climate changes and competition with other predators likely played key roles in its extinction. This massive bird was probably a carnivore with a diverse diet, including other birds, mammals, reptiles, and even large insects and invertebrates. Fossils of massive birds have been unearthed in numerous regions across North and South America. Some of these skeletons show teeth marks and signs of digestive damage, indicating they had a carnivorous diet. It's fascinating to note that, while many modern birds are believed to have descended from dinosaurs, the conchoco is actually not among them. The conchoco represents a distinct branch of birds separate from dinosaurs, known as the Paleoarchaeon. This group also includes contemporary birds like the ostrich, otter, cockatiel, and the crane camel, which is regarded as one of the most dangerous birds capable of killing in the world. However, it wasn't just these terrifying birds that ruled the land. There were also numerous peculiar prehistoric creatures that emerged during the sacrificial era. One notable example was the sloth, a sizable species of sloth that existed from the Oligocene to the Pleistocene epochs, roughly between 300,000 and 170,000 years ago. This sloth was as large as a giant bear and was a quadruped, making it adept at defending itself or digging. Its enormous claws were incredibly useful for defense or digging, and, at the same time, the perching sloths have managed to survive from the Holocene period all the way to the present day. They primarily live in trees, possessing long limbs and curved claws that enable them to move with ease between trees. As of today, there are only two remaining species of sloths within the family, known as the two-fingered sloths and the three-fingered sloths. You might be curious about what happened to the ancestors of snakes. The evolutionary history of snakes is quite complex, and the mystery has not been completely unraveled yet. More than 100 million years ago, these small lizard-like creatures, called Lepidoptera, lived on forest floors and consumed insects, somewhat similar to the early mammals that resembled daisies. Over a long period, some of the Lepidoptera gradually transformed, becoming more elongated, eventually losing their limbs and evolving into the early snakes. The oldest known fossil snakes, such as the dawn of the ants, date back to about 950 million years ago. 150,000 years old, these fossils indicate that modern snakes, similar to those from 150,000 years ago, are now considered the most ancient snakes in the world. Finally, we look at traits of our human ancestors, like their flexible skulls and slim bodies. One of them, known as the Titan python, is believed to be the largest snake ever to have evolved from an early python ancestor. It is considered the largest snake known to have ever existed, reaching an impressive length of 12 meters and weighing over 135 kilograms. Even though snakes didn't evolve directly from the small daisy-like mammals, they actually originated from a small, lizard-like ancestor that existed during the time of the dinosaurs. Over many years, they have continued to evolve, leading to what we understand today as part of the human evolution story. These snakes originated from small lizard-like ancestors back in the dinosaur era, and through the long years that followed, they evolved into the diverse group of snakes that we recognize today. And so, we finally arrive at the ancestors of mankind, completing this fascinating evolutionary journey. Fossil evidence strongly suggests that early pachyderms, which were quite small in size, had notably long tails and possessed grasping arms and legs. These features were highly suitable for climbing and foraging, allowing them to adeptly move around trees and efficiently find food. Over the course of time, these pachyderms underwent significant evolution, eventually differentiating into various distinct pachyderm branches. These branches include monkeys, apes, and of course, humans. There's a considerable amount of detail in the fascinating story of human evolution that's truly worth exploring. If you're interested in learning more about this intriguing topic, you can find additional information in the comments section or through the pop-ups. Additionally, if you have thoughts or questions, feel free to share them in the comments section or explore further through the pop-ups. Thank you for watching the video. If you enjoyed what you saw, please consider giving us a one-click trifecta. We look forward to seeing you next time.